Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Kavinsky's Tutorials. Today I think a very useful video for some people. I'm basically going to do a very quick run through of the plugins that are available by Igor Vasiliev. So I'm not going to look at his older apps like Fieldscaper or what's the other one, Soundscaper or something, that are inter-app audio only. I'm only going to look at AUv3s. Most of these are effect apps. Some of them are also sound generators as well. I'm not going to try and do tutorial or even a detailed review or anything of each one. I'm just going to go over very quickly what each one does. The basic point is, as a refresher maybe for people who might have forgotten what these do, or someone who's not familiar with them and is trying to decide what they might be most interested in. I think it'll be very useful. If it is, please smash the like and everything, folks. So here I got a loop, and I'm going to start with some effects. Sound Saw. This is actually one of my favorites. This is basically good for saturation and distortion. Stuff like we got this decimator in there that's pretty cool, and bit crushing. You've got a filter and envelope settings for controlling the filter. I find this one of the most easy to learn and use Igor apps, but I also love the sounds that it's capable of. Okay, next, Altace. So this is a convolution reverb. As you can see here, it gives you quite a lot of controls, right? But it also comes with absolutely tons of impulse responses in it. And you can view those by the device. So these I think were taken from various old hardware reverbs and stuff, vintage stuff. Or you can view them in groups like, church reverbs or effects reverbs and stuff. And so here you can hear a kind of reverse effect. So it can also get kind of experimental. All right, next. Speaking of experimental, this one can get really cray beat cutter. This nearly broke me trying to learn and make a bloody video on this when it came out years ago. I spent about a week on it. Thing is, I often go through a long period of time where I don't use this, and then I really forget so much about how to use it. But basically what it does is allows you to put in inputs, or you can load samples, and then it will kind of record little fragments of those and then sequence that in different ways and put it through various effects and things. So you get these sort of weird, glitchy soundscapes. You can do a lot with just this template thing that can basically randomize things for you. And you can set up, which things here will not be randomized and stuff as well. Or you can go in and tweak the different sections if you want more control. Very experimental app. I think a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with that one. It's interesting, but it's hard to learn. Vintage Rack. This is much simpler app, basically, but very good sound. So if you look here, if I tap on an empty slot, let me just turn this down a little smidgen. So if we tap on an empty slot, you can add in various different effects, form and filter, different types of chorus, wah, flanger, delay, and so on and so on. All the effects sound very good, I would say. What have we got here? A reverse delay going into a ring mod. For more controls, you just tap on parameters here. So here now we're seeing the parameters for the reverse reverb. This is very good value when it's on sale. And I'm making this video at, in the run-up to Black Friday 2025. All of these are on sale. Okay, here, NoInputMixer. This mainly uses a generator, but just to show you that it can be used as an effect. If you see here, this effects panel, we've got various types of effects, tremolo, form and delay, flanger, and so on. But I'm going to show you this in a minute as a sound generator and it's really most interesting as that. So here, Spacefields. So this can basically record a couple of loops and kind of segue between them seamlessly. And it has automation built in. We tap here, we're now on the automation panel. Bring this down again a little bit, the volume. Yeah, so in the automation section, we can use pulse or sine LFO to modulate various things about the loop, like the level, the pitch, and so on. There's some settings about the delay and filter and things. And it can also do this kind of weird sort of Euclidean sequencing to add a rhythmic quality to your loops. It's an interesting one. I did a full walkthrough on it here. I've done full walkthroughs on a fair few of these. Beat Cutter, for example. NoInputMixer, got a full walkthrough on that. Also Vintage Rack. And some of the other ones we haven't looked at yet, like NoiseSpace and Classic FX. I think just those ones maybe. Okay, so here we've got Loopmangler. And this is basically sequenced effects. Like for example, this means comb filter. I think if I remember right, this means slice. It's a bit hard to remember what these things mean. It's one of the things that annoyed me a little bit about this when it came out. So here on this make button, we can randomize the patterns, and there are various different options there, each of which will randomize based on various different rules. So basically, I mainly see this as a kind of sequenced glitch effect app. Okay, next. Stellar Vox. So this is designed, what is it it says in the manual? Hybrid reverb with an artificial space designer, combining it with algorithmic reflections tail processing. So, let me just bring this down a bit. So basically here, this is a bit different, you know, the way it works, because you have various controls which will basically set the parameters for a kind of imaginary space, and you set those controls and then it will generate that space. And it will create a new impulse response for you. And then it has an algorithmic reverb, which can be used for the tail part as well. But it's basically good for, I like it for sort of weird stuff like little kind of formant effects and things. Like that. I've got a bunch of presets for this on my Patreon. It can definitely do some weird stuff, that. NoiseSpace. Mainly a generator. So we'll look at it in a minute as a generator. But just to show you quickly, it also has some things that you can use it as an effect to process. Like it'll put it through some of its filters and stuff like that. We'll look at it in more detail in a minute as a generator. That's just a reminder that it can be an effect. So Classic FX, this I think is one of, well, it is definitely Igor's most beautiful UI. The UI is really gorgeous. You feel like you're operating a spaceship, right? It's so beautiful. Actually, this is a bit more conventional than some of Igor's other apps. What we basically have is 2 presets loaded here, 1A, 1B, and you can see this green line is morphing between them. And if we click here on the names of the presets, and of course you can make your own presets as well, you get an idea of the kind of effects that you can have. Distortion, going into a flanger, into a notch filter, into a gated echo, and so on, right? Very good sound quality as usual with Igor's stuff, you know, and all the effects. Can get weird, But in general, if you actually first get this app and you just kind of go through the presets, they are set up mainly very conventional for an Igor app. And you're going to have to get in and, learn how to use the app and tweak them if you want more extreme stuff. Okay. Next, Glitchcaper. This is actually more, most would use this as a processor. Here in this preset, it's doing a little bit of processing of the incoming audio, mainly gating, and also adding a little bit as well, this sort of glitchy sound that you hear on top there. So we'll look at that in a second. I think I forgot to set one up for that. Let me just add it in. Glitchcaper. Glitchcaper instrument, okay. Let me turn this one off. And jump through a couple of presets. I just put this through the bus. So this is the kind of thing it generates. Rhythmic, glitchy soundscapes, basically. There's quite a lot going on here because if you tap these generators, you can see here we got sequencer controls, tone controls, glitch, space, delay, reverb, something. So there's a lot going on there. Now, back to some of the other ones. I had another example here of...
ready to embrace the night's rest.
Another example of Spacefields. It can be pretty cool on vocal samples, I find. Full walkthrough on that here in the channel. This Synthscaper LE. I can't get that help to close. Hang on. What's going on there? Let me open that again. This one I'm not going to go into as I've never really used it. I'm just mentioning it. This is actually an AUv3 version, but it's like a sort of mini version. It doesn't have as much control of the Synthscaper app, which the main app never became AUv3. That's just Interapp Audio app. So this I won't go into because I've never really used it. I'm just mentioning that it's there. Now, so here, an example of NoInputMixer. So just to say very briefly for anybody who doesn't know, no input mixing, an experimental music technique where you take the output of a mixer and feed it back into the input and play around with the feedback and all the sort of weird stuff that you can get, maybe even from some little internal noises, that are in there and that will get amplified. This is definitely one of the most interesting Igor apps, I reckon. If you like this kind of thing. As is NoiseSpace, that's another one. I've got a bunch of presets that I made for this over on my Patreon. So here, basically generating noise and applying a bit of processing to that to create, and some modulation and stuff, to create weird soundscapes. I like this. Pretty interesting for drone stuff. So, I want to keep this video short. We've gone through a lot there. I hope it was useful for you. If it was, please smash the like, etc. If you're a fan of the channel, please do come over and support me on Patreon. Everybody's spending crazy money on apps at the moment. Meanwhile, it's a real struggle being a YouTuber in this space. I would love more support from the community. Thank you guys. Take it easy. Cheers.